You are now checked in to Stand Up New York Labs. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mark, fake banter for the intro.
That's all I know how to do.
Great.
Good to be here.
Welcome to Tuesdays with
Stories.
Hit her in the face with a surfboard.
And then the duck fell out of his bag.
Surf's up. And she didn't even flush.
Knock, knock.
Who's there? Mark Norman and Joe List.
Yeah! This is Tuesdays with Stories, everybody.
No, that's terrible.
This is supposed to be cheesy.
My radio is spitting at me.
Hey!
Was that medium? Holy moly.
Oh, we are so bad at our intros and outros, but we're, the middle is really pretty decent.
Yeah, starting anything is hard.
It's very hard.
Starting a stand-up set, starting
Sex.
a conversation, sex.
Yeah.
None of these things are hard.
Career.
Oh, you don't have anxiety like we do.
All right. Well, we've already underway. That is our guest, Luis Gomez. I'm
Louis
Joe
J.
List.
Gomez.
Louis J. Gomez, real ass guest. Over there is my dear pal and life partner.
Mark Norman here.
Tuesdays with Stories. We're 20 seconds in, and I feel like we're bringing the heat.
Woo!
It's a big one.
Yeah, we got a good show today.
Mark's wearing a white T-shirt, and Louis is wearing a USA T-shirt with a jacket over it.
Is this how your podcast starts? You tell what your guests are wearing?
I don't know. I want to paint a picture.
We go off the
visual?
cuff. Whatever happens.
Yeah, Louis is on his phone and criticizing the podcast all in one fell swoop.
You don't really see any swoops that aren't fell.
No.
All right.
The band Dispatch was once called One Fell Swoop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good-looking lead singer, I hear.
Is that right?
That's what they tell me.
Wow. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Boy, lot to talk about. We haven't had a guest in a while. This is
It's good to
exciting.
have you.
I feel pretty special. Joe, let me ask you a question. Did you ask me last week to be the guest? Did you call me and leave me a message, say, hey, it's Joe, give me a call back? And then not when I called you back like 5 times?
No.
You didn't answer the phone?
You called me back once and then texted me, you called, ?
Yeah,
but
you
I didn't
rang.
call. If I called, it was an accident. But it didn't show up on my phone.
Well, it sounded like you on the voicemail.
Oh, no, it wasn't me.
Wow. Well, sorry, I got very excited. I was like, oh, maybe he wants me to guest on his podcast.
Well, we have wanted you for a while.
Well, we had you on,
Thanks.
then we got bumped or something happened, so we couldn't have you guys. Oh, you booked Ted Alexandro.
Oh, yeah, so you were out.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
really? That's where we're at here.
Yeah.
Fucking Louis J. Gomez bumped off for Ted Alexandro. Fucking
Right.
the Occupy movement has been gone for 2 years. Fuck you, Ted.
I got to ask you, is the J new?
No, everyone asks me, like, when did you start using the J? I've used the J since I was playing drums in Salty Black Flower in high school. Louis J. Gomez.
I was in Happy Little Trees.
In fact, you guys can look up my old band's website. Go to tripod.com/saltyblackflower, and you will see that it is Louis J. Gomez when I was 15 years old.
This
All
is
right.
obviously believable enough that we don't need evidence. You're
No,
clearly
no,
just
no.
trying to get us to check out your band.
Dude, check out my old band's website. We have a great song called Nocturnal Sunshine.
What was it, Salty Taffy?
Salty Black Flower.
Salty Black Flower.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
We were Electric Beaver, and then Happy Little Trees, and then Johnny Be Good.
What did you play?
I can sing.
You were the singer?
Yeah.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Name a song, I'll sing it.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Really well. Tuesdays with Stories.
Wow, hey.
That's pretty good. Dude,
Starring Mark and Joe.
Can I get a tambourine in here? That's
that's
pretty
a
good.
hi-hat, first of all, asshole. That's not a
Well, you
tambourine.
can fucking shake a tambourine.
That was definitely like a 70s.
Uh-huh.
The J stands for jerk.
Oh, come on, dude. You know it stands for Jew Slayer.
Jew.
Juice Slayer.
Everyone knows that.
But we wanted to
That's
have
a
you on
band.
because you always have great stories. I feel like you're always getting in a fight or fighting somebody.
What are you
And
talking about?
I'm deathly afraid of you. I consider you. a
Yeah,
dear
you're
friend.
terrifying.
Am I really scary?
Well, not right now.
How about Lewis? Everyone always other friends talk about how Lewis is like the whitest Puerto Rican. I think he's like
No, you're pretty
the
porty.
least white guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, you just made a tambourine sound scary.
Look, dude, I don't, no, I'm pretty white. I mean, I was in a band called Salty Black Flower.
That's true.
And I used to have, here's the thing, dude. People that know me know me. I used to have long hair down to my shoulders. I used to have my mom was a hairdresser, so she would, she's dead now, Joe. No, she would put highlights in my hair. So I would highlight it and then I'd dye it purple and green and all these crazy colors. And I used to wear eyeliner and Marilyn Manson t-shirts, and I used to play drums, and I used to have a chain wallet, big giant Jinko jeans.
Wow.
And I hung out with exclusively white people.
Were the Puerto Ricans giving you shit like, hey, buddy, what happened?
Yeah, but I was always kind of big, and like it was like in phases. When I was a kid, I remember my first day at kindergarten. I went to West Savage Elementary School, and it was like a weird natural racial segregation that happened. Like all the Hispanic kids sat at one table, all the black kids sat at one table, and all the white kids sat at one table.
That happens a lot. It's a very natural thing, which people don't understand. Like
well,
babies,
now,
when you get
now,
babies together, babies naturally go and play with their own race, and everyone's like, "This is a huge problem."
As
but
they
it's like, well, how
should.
can it be a problem? They're babies.
Right.
It's a natural thing.
Look, I mean, I get why in today's day and age they'll assign you a seat and they'll make sure that that's not the case. You don't really want to get kids into fucking, like, if you just go by what they would do natural. What's that book where they get stuck on the island and they start killing each other and fucking
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies. That's what'll happen naturally. So the natural progression of life maybe isn't necessarily the right way. There's a reason we have technology and other influences in life.
Interesting.
I'm not saying we should force
No,
segregation.
dude, you're saying forced segregation with these kids.
I'm saying it's natural to. Anyways.
But I get in and I immediately, everyone's kind of, I go to choose my table and I just sat with all the white kids. Just naturally. Like I said,
Interesting.
But I'm half Italian Irish, so I was raised by all white people.
Okay.
So that was what I was comfortable with very naturally. And then I was trying, as I tried to find myself throughout the years, like I started listening to some hip hop and hanging out with, I grew up in kind of like a ghetto area.
Where'd you grow up?
West Savage, New York.
Okay.
Which is like, if you know where Levity Live's at, it's like the ghetto of that area.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. So, I started hanging out with like more like Latinos and black kids. And then, I would listen to some hip hop and I said nigga a bunch probably in middle school.
Me too.
Yeah, you said it differently though. You said the hard R.
Right.
And then I kind of really found myself when I was in like high school and I started playing music and started hanging out with like that crew. And that's kind of when I became who I am today.
Wow. Boy, great life story.
Yeah. My first day of kindergarten, I cried so hard.
Me too.
Like a real bitch.
Because a Puerto Rican kid sat at your table.
No, we didn't have any Puerto Ricans. You're the first Puerto Rican I ever met. No, I met you when I was 28.
Is that right? That can't be true.
No, that's probably not true.
Yeah.
But, it was a very white school. But I cried. I was scared to death. I was scared of every single thing. We've talked about this before in the podcast. I still am. You cried as well, first day?
I cried as well, yeah. I remember the mom being like, go, go, and I couldn't let go of the leg.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Did you go to preschool? I didn't go to preschool.
We had preschool at my house.
Oh, wow.
Fun fact.
I was one of the. I don't know anyone else that didn't go to preschool. I think I'm all fucked up.
I did not go to preschool.
All right.
So maybe that's why we're all fucked up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, no, my first day of school was fine. I was already like, I was kind of excited. I had an older sister, too. Maybe that's what it is. Because I had a sister who had been going to school already for a couple of years. And that just seemed awesome to me. Like, I wanted to be an adult and grow up.
Right. Did you do the skateboarding?
I tried, dude, I was fat, all throughout, like, I got fat probably in the 4th grade.
Wow.
And then, I just stayed fat, all throughout, like, high school. Oh, excuse me. And I tried to do it, and I couldn't fucking stay on the board. So then I got rollerblades, which Joe's seen me rollerblade before.
Yeah.
And I would do like fake aggressive inline skating. Like I wouldn't do any tricks, but all my friends would be like doing like tricks and shit. And I was kind of like rollerblade backwards, thinking I was cool. So.
Well, I mean, let's get into it. What'd you do this weekend? You got any stories?
I've been fucking sick all weekend, dude.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
It's been brutal, dude.
We'll edit that in post. But yeah, you're a tough dude, like we said. You've probably been in some real melees in your day, huh?
I feel like you always have a story about getting in. Well, you have an interesting thing. Nate Bargatze did a set on Conan where he tells a story about you and mentions you by name.
Yes.
Yes,
Which is,
my biggest credit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he also left at the J, so.
Yeah, this would be your second biggest credit, I think. Tell me that story, because we know Nate Bargatze's bit. You can look it up on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, Nate's gonna fucking get mad because. Dude,
this is exclusively his story.
No. It's funny because Soder told us Soder was there. Okay, Soder was actually there in McDonald's, and they both did
Dan
it.
Soder, our friend and comedian.
So Nate just cut Soder out of the story just to make, because it's fucking Nate. So he's like a wordsmith, and he's just how to write a joke, and you don't fucking leave in unnecessary details.
Let's say he knows how to write a joke. Wordsmith is a weird description.
Guy can
for
barely
Nate.
spell. Good friend.
Soder's got enough going on, anyways.
So
he doesn't need any more.
What happened was, though, one time, he got mad at both of us, 2 separate occasions. One time, Soder came on after he told that story, and he was like, "Oh, dude, by the way, I was there too." And Nate comes up to him, and the same thing happened, like another show. And that's how I found out that Nate did it to Soder as well, because he did the story. I was like, well, our friend Dan Soder was there too. And Nate got he's like, dude, come on, man. You're making me sound like I'm a liar to the crowd. Like, they should think that everything I'm saying is true. It's like they walk away like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole. He actually genuinely got mad because we said there was an element of the story that he did not mention.
That's sweet that he wants to be sincere.
Yeah, but he's not. He's a phony. So he, look, I'm very reactionary. Like, I just, I don't think about what I'm going to say.
Crazy.
I wouldn't say, I don't think I'm crazy.
Do you get scared?
I mean, when you're about to fight somebody?
Yeah.
I don't really get into fights.
I can't picture you
Come
being
on.
physically afraid of anybody.
Yeah, I can't either.
I mean, no, I wouldn't fight Dante. I would turn that fight down.
Oh, yeah.
I would turn down a fight with Joe Rogan or a professional
Right,
fighter. Like,
right.
I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a little bit of you that thinks that you can win that battle.
Uh-huh.
And it's not it's not a bully thing. Like, dude, typically, I don't really get into fights. I almost get into fights a lot.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't really have a filter. So if I don't like something that you're doing, I'm just going to immediately say it.
Right.
So with the Nate story, my whole thing is I don't like customer service in general. Like, just I don't like people, and I shouldn't say that. I don't like customer service in New York City because if you go to the suburbs, it's always like people who work in customer service, they're kids, they're learning about life and they're off to go to college next year and they're just fucking nice people.
And underpaid.
Yeah, in New York City, it's people who have given up on life.
Uh-huh.
It's like fucking like thugs and people that couldn't get a real job. It's just a different thing when you go into these like urban markets. So, and typically in New York City, you just get very shitty customer service. So I always expect it. So I'm always there already. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking for them to make a mistake. When my chick was in the hospital, giving birth to our son, I went to McDonald's to get coffee, and I asked for decaf coffee for her because she doesn't like caffeine; it makes her jittery, and caffeinated coffee for myself. And I watched the girl pour 2 caffeinated coffees. She brings them back over, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I asked for a decaf," and she's like, "Oh, it is." And I was like, "No, it's not actually. I just watched you pour it." She's like, "It ain't no difference." And I lost it. I lied. I said, she's allergic to caffeine. You're going to kill my wife.
Good.
But I started working myself up like that was really reality.
Right. Yeah.
That's like the craziness in me because, but in my head, she doesn't know. She could be allergic to caffeine.
Of course.
Her throat could close up. She can kill my son as she's giving birth to my son.
Right.
She doesn't, I'm getting worked up now. She doesn't know any of that shit. So the fucking manager came over and I literally had to sit there. And I was furious that the manager wouldn't yell at her in front of me, so I started yelling at the manager about he doesn't know how to do his job. So that's typically what happens. I'll get fucking caught up with something like that. So with Nate, I go to the bathroom, and I had 2 cheeseburgers, and Nate unwrapped the cheeseburger and took a bite of one of the cheeseburgers.
Oh, so he knew about your history with customer
Yeah,
service.
he knows that, but by the way, I think he thought my reaction was going to be for a second, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But, like, I opened the cheeseburger when I came back, and I just got furious that, like, in my mind, it immediately went, there's a fucking person behind that counter that thinks it's funny to take a bite of the cheeseburgers and send them out to be served. Like, that's gonna be a gag that he's playing. So yeah, I fucking went straight to the counter. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Are you And Nate was like, dude, are you fucking, stop, dude. It was
Wow.
me. So that's the story behind that, which is a true story.
That reminds me of one time. I mean, 2 things I'm reminded of. One featuring you, and then your story reminded me. That happened to me one time at Dunkin' Donuts. I ordered like a Mountain Dew. This was like years ago in a drive-thru, and I drove away and realized it was a Diet Mountain Dew. So I drove back, got back in the drive-thru, and I was like, "Yeah, I ordered a Mountain Dew. You gave me a Diet Mountain Dew." And the girl was like, "Yeah, we're all out of Mountain Dew." I'm like, "Well, this is a different item. You can't just give me a different thing."
What did you do?
I was like, "I need my money back," and she's like, "Well," and she like made like a whole thing like, "What the fuck?" But I'm like, "Well, this is a different." Item altogether.
I would have pegged the Mountain Dew at her face if she had said anything.
Right.
Dude, I'm like, dude.
Real
one
ass
time,
dude.
I used to have a Boost mobile phone, and not that I have Metro PCS now, so I'm moving up a little bit.
I don't know what any of that means.
Wireless for all. Yeah, it's black shit. So, dude, it was right here. This deli, right by Stand Up New York, because when I started off in comedy, I used to run shows here, and I used to sell tickets. I used to run street teams. And this is like 5 years ago, I guess, 6 years ago. And you used to have to buy these Boost mobile cards. And you would basically call up your phone. You'd put more money on your phone. So you could just, it counts down the minutes. Like you spend the minutes like a prepaid card. So you don't have to have a contract.
It's like Breaking Bad shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a dummy phone. So I got a $20 card. I put the number in. And it just said it was an expired card or it didn't work or whatever it was. So I go to was like, dude, this card, I did it right in the store. I was like, hey, this card doesn't work. It said that it's already expired. He was like, oh, sorry, I can't do anything. You have to call the company, which truthfully is probably the policy. This is when I was fucking, you know, a 24-year-old pothead, fucking lunatic. Dude, I lost it. I was like, I'm not calling company. I took, you know how they have those like display cases that are sitting on top of a counter with all the candy bars are in it? So it's actually separate. It's like a clear plastic case that all the candy bars sit in, and that sits on top of a counter. I took the entire counter, I pulled it off of it, and I knocked literally 1,000 candy bars on the floor of the fucking.
Jesus Christ,
dude! I mean, fucking like literally, the guy's like screaming. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker! Now you know my pain. Now you know my dude, like a lunatic.
Holy! If I would have seen that, I would have ran to Canarsie. I would have been so scared just seeing that. See, that's good that you guys do stuff about it though, because I'm the guy who gets the wrong order, and I go, I'll just eat it because I don't want to go back up there and deal with the guy.
Right.
So then it just keeps going in that cycle. So it's good that you guys stop it.
I often do that, but it's only because it was like a young girl.
Oh,
if it was like a fucking big guy, I'd be like, oh, fucking that guy.
Those are the ones that you could physically overtake.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying. That's why he did
That's
it.
why. That's the people I'll complain to. This also reminded me of a Lewis story. We had the a picnic recently that came under some scrutiny from other comics, but I thought it was a wonderful picnic that I threw. And we were throwing the Frisbee around, my girlfriend and I, and at one point, Sarah throws the Frisbee too close to this couple, and the guy's like, could you take this elsewhere, kind of dicky. This is like 5 hours before Lewis even gets to the picnic. And then we're throwing the Frisbee around, and I'm like, yeah, this guy earlier yelled at us. And Lewis is like, who? Which guy? Wants to fight this guy.
I don't want to fight him.
He wasn't even talking to you. So then Lewis, every time he gets the Frisbee, is just whipping it at these people, trying to get it. But no one else is in on Lewis's psycho revenge thing. So people are catching the Frisbee. So then Lewis realizes if he wants to hit these people with the Frisbee, he has to switch spots and be the one catching
to
near
not
them.
catch it.
So he's like, hey, let's switch sides. The sun's in my eyes or whatever bullshit. So then he's standing in front of them. Every time we throw the Frisbee, instead of catching it, he just two-handed slaps the fucking Frisbee at these people, just trying to instigate a fight with this yuppie. The guy was a piece of shit.
Well, no, look, I don't fucking understand the world that we live in, that you're in a public park.
Well, he's an asshole.
15 people playing Frisbee and having fun and playing games and just being kids and, you know, just loving life.
Kids. And the median age was 41.
You're sitting on a fucking blanket with some twat bag in the middle of all of it.
She was a bag of twat.
Like, you know, and then you have the nerve to say, hey, guys, we're trying to relax over here. Could you not play Frisbee and have the Frisbee come anywhere near us?
Right.
Motherfucker, walk 30 feet that way.
Right.
We're not relocating our whole party. Or, you know, were you guys there first or were they there first?
We were there first.
That's fine. I didn't even know that. Because in the middle of it, my argument started falling apart. As I was saying it, I was like, ah, shit, if he was there first, I guess this doesn't make any sense. You guys were there first.
Well, and then at one point they started smoking, which is illegal. Frisbee is not illegal. Smoking is. And then later, this is the best, they started throwing the Frisbee, and then they actually physically hit another person
you see?
Later on.
See, in a way, what you're doing is justice. You're just kind of like a douchey superhero, like a you know, like
you know what, dude? Nobody is going to teach people in this fucking world how to act. Too many people are passive aggressive, and I think that people just need to be told that they're fucking assholes every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fine. Like, you know, I'm not committing any crimes. I'm not physically assaulting people. Like, I have a thing. I grew up just with the mentality. It's like, you don't really throw the first punch.
Right.
I don't even
throw
know
the last punch.
If I don't know if that's necessarily true. Watching did you guys ever tell the story about the Giannis fight on this podcast?
No. Neither one of us were there for that.
I was there for that shit.
No,
dude.
you were there.
It was
I said neither one of us. We host the show.
No, dude. I heard what you said. I was reiterating. I was there for that shit.
Oh boy, easy.
All right, and Mark. I don't know how to tell him, so you're out. He's the new host.
I understand.
Dude, I was at a show in Brooklyn. Giannis runs a show called at Bar 4.
Oh yeah,
used to run it.
Legendary New York show.
Yeah, great show. And there was another twat bag. I don't think it was the same one from the park, but there was another twat bag, an Irish broad, in the bar. And they weren't there for the show. They were there at the bar all afternoon. A lot of these bar shows, what you don't realize is there's people there that didn't come for the show. Like they've been there. They've been drinking since noon.
Right.
And you're kind of interrupting their time. Which it's the whole concept of a bar show is kind of weird. It's always been kind of weird to me. It's like you're interrupting people's lives for this comedy show that they didn't really sign on board with.
Which I hate when sometimes comedians will do that and they start giving shit to these people.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, we're fucking up their night.
Yep. Well, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, we should be appreciative that if they're listening at all.
Yes.
Granted, she was a twat bag. that's kind of what happened. She was there before the show ever started. She didn't give a fuck about the show. She's just drunk and having fun with a couple of her friends. Okay, so the show's going on, and Giannis is hosting, and he's doing great, and people are loving it. But this chick is just having a full-fledged, loud Irish conversation, just fucking really loud.
What is she? Leprechauns and
Small dicks.
Yeah, just
beer,
freckles
clovers.
and green and all that shit.
Yeah.
Potatoes. And
So Giannis
Resentments.
a couple times tries to address it. And she's just kind of being shitty and doesn't give a shit. She didn't come there for Giannis Papas. She's never heard of Marisa. She doesn't give a fuck.
God bless her.
She does not care at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, I get it. Like we're upset. Like comics, we're so obsessed with like this little small world. My friend Vic, who I do another podcast with, who works like legitimately in the real world of like the entertainment industry. He's a producer on O'Reilly, or was a producer on O'Reilly Factor, and
I
it's
know
like,
Vic.
yeah, legitimate fucking dude who rubs elbows. I mean, had the vice president on, interviewed the vice
Wow.
president. It's not like. Like, so when I was like, oh, dude, I gotta go to Bobby's pod. We gotta make sure we don't do anything wrong to the studio. He was like, dude, Bobby Kelly is a fucking D-list celebrity in the grand scheme of things, in the real world.
Generous.
I mean,
let's go. G.
these are like, they're a big deal in our mind, but to everyone else, it's not really a big deal. So she doesn't give a fuck about Giannis, okay? Fuck you, buddy. You're just some dude at a bar, okay? So they're kind of like, he's giving her shit, and he's just kind of calling her a twat, just being aggressive. Giannis gets very upset and aggressive when somebody's like either heckling or it's not going the way he wants it to go.
Yeah.
So he's going at this chick, and she's kind of being a cunt, and she gets up to leave. And I forget exactly what he said. He called her a dumb bitch or whatever.
That might have been our most casual cunt in the history of the show, by the way.
Possibly.
Casual cunt. Can we name that this episode?
Oh, I like it.
Good name. So she does a beeline straight toward the stage,
Wow.
and in a thick, Irish accent, she's like, I'll show you how the Irish handle things. Yeah, but it was an Irish accent. And then she fucking.
I didn't know he could do that. This cab driver was like, "Hey, mate," but he was Indian.
So she fucking gives him a nice left hook, like a nice fucking
Wow.
boom. But like turns her hip over, like
Yeah.
we're like actual good form, like
Yeah,
looked good,
it's
dude.
Irish.
Wow.
So Giannis just reacts. He has the mic in his left hand, and his just reaction is just to fucking pop her in the face with a jab. Just
Yeah.
boom, pops her.
With the mic.
No, he lied about that. He punched
Oh.
her. So I watched it. His story is which by the way, like the mic sound. I think that's worse if you hit somebody with a mic. But what you got to realize, dude,
That's a weapon.
like if you have a mic in your hand and you ball up a fist, it just makes your fist hard. It's like the roll of nickels
Right,
from old
right.
professional wrestling
Yes,
days.
yes.
So he fucking has a nice stiff jab, pops her. She falls off the stage. It was a small stage, but she fell off. And the dude she was with,
Uh-oh. Big guy?
yeah, big tall guy, not skinny but tall. He's like,
Handsome?
you can't fucking hit, beautiful. You can't hit a chick. And he takes a beeline toward the stage, but he just has his chin up in the air with his hands at his side.
Oh.
And this is a lesson that I learned. Giannis didn't wait for this guy to come up and say, hey, what's going on, man? What's your fucking problem? Get in each other's face, dude. The guy was walking to the stage. Giannis used his momentum against him and jumped off the stage and Superman punched this dude in the jaw.
Wow.
I mean, like, didn't even blink. Okay.
Jesus.
And this guy just fucking dropped. Some other Puerto Rican dude started kicking him. Wasn't
What?
me. Yeah, dude. It was. I was like, oh, dude, I literally nearly came into my pants. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
But it was a lesson that I learned, which is, dude, don't do all that. Fuck you, buddy.
Right,
What are you
just-
gonna do?
just do
What are you
it.
gonna? Just fucking do it, dude. You don't know who's gonna be the dude that's gonna do that. First of all,
Yeah.
and I would much rather be the dude that's giving it than fucking receiving it.
Of course.
Right. That's why I never understood that. Whenever people are yelling at each other back and forth, I always feel like they just don't want to be in a fight. If you want to be in a fight, you'll be in a fight.
Yeah.
All the yelling is nonsense.
I mean, look, a lot of time, I don't really ever want to be in a fight. A lot of time, the yelling is what I do to release the anger to not be in a fight.
Right.
There you go.
That's good. You're like a Buddhist.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not like, it's a form of meditation.
Yeah.
but-
You know what's cool? It's when somebody can be cool as a cucumber in a situation like that. It blows my mind. I was on the subway once, and this black chick had like a boombox kind of thing, and she was just playing it loudly, singing loudly.
you
Everybody
could
on
have
the
just said
train-
there was a black chick on the train.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody on the train hated her. You know, we were all mad at each other for not saying anything. And this one guy gets on the train after we're all hating this woman for 10 minutes, and he's just sitting down like a nice-looking white guy, sits down. He goes, geez, could you turn that off? What are you doing? And she was like, fuck you, motherfucker, I do what I want, I do what I want. And he's like, geez, you're being incredibly rude. This is crazy. And she's like, oh, you're a fucking racist piece of shit. You don't let me. And he's like, no, there's just other people around. It's just inconsiderate. And he was so matter of fact and nonchalant. He wasn't like, turn that fucking shit off. He's just like, I can't believe you're doing this. This is crazy. Like, who do you think you are? He never stood up. He just kept sitting there. And eventually she was like, fuck you, and got off the train. And we all applauded. It was amazing.
It was her stop, and an hour later, but it was still really.
Yeah, but still, he was just
I love that.
Just. Why would you do this? Like, don't you realize people have feelings and they don't want to hear this? And
Yeah, I don't have it. I'd be the guy who would say something. I wouldn't say it as nicely. I've said to people on the train before, it's like, hey, can you turn that down? I don't want to hear your music. I didn't sign on board with your fucking music.
Right.
Like, this isn't like.
Exactly. But it's a black girl, so I don't want to say anything, You get it.
I love the very matter of fact. That's how I like. We talked about this before when Ted was here. That's how I like to deal with like hecklers or yellers. You're being very inconsiderate, and I wish you would stop doing that. And I find that usually works.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get so nervous on the train or in public because anyone could be a fucking psychopath.
That's what it is.
All of a sudden, she pulls out a fucking knife and stabs you to death.
Yeah, I almost had a lesbian fucking pull out a blade on me on 34th Street one time. There was just these fucking chicks. I don't even know how it came to it. Like, maybe I stepped on one of their shoes, of course. And, it just turned into like this thing where these fucking 3 little lesbians were just fucking yelling at me. And I said, I was like, listen, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, I'm going to punch you in your fucking dyke throat.
Wow.
And I meant it. If you're going to start threatening me, okay, I don't give a fuck if you're a chick. I don't give a fuck who you are. I've never hit a woman in my entire life. But you're going to cross a line where it's like, I don't give a fuck if you have a pussy, okay? First of all, if you're dressing that way and you're acting like a dude and you're grilling dudes down, then be a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? And she kicked me, like in my shin, like really hard. Dude, and
That's a funny move.
What is this, Annie?
Yeah, I know, right?
I went to go fucking square up, dude, and she fucking put her hand in her pocket. And I saw she had a blade right there.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck it. I was like, I'm going to end up fighting. And luckily, there was cops there, so they just kind of like came in between us, and they didn't see the blade. But it was, it was like a moment where, like, dude, I'm about to get my fucking face slashed. I need to stop being like such an angry dude. I'm actually starting to see a therapist tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get to the bottom of this stuff.
Well, have you been beaten up ever? Like, really ass kicked?
I mean, I grew up in a really white trash neighborhood, and they used to play a game called Kill the Nigger, and I played the nigger. So they would throw rocks at me. They would fucking chase me down with sticks. Yeah, they would beat the fucking shit.
Were you like a method actor? Like, did you have to be a nigger when you were at home? And
just really set into my niggerdom.
Let's stop saying that word.
Right.
What? I can say it. First of all, if I was called a nigger, I think that's your pass right there. If you've been called a nigger in the way you and your family say it when there's nobody else around.
My family doesn't do that.
Yeah. So I feel like that's where you earn the right. I don't really know. Is it because you have to be black? No. You have to fucking watch. I'll give Mark, you're a nigger. Now you can go out in life and say it anytime you want.
I don't know if everyone signed off on that.
We got to get it recorded.
Yeah, I need like a contract or something.
It's recorded. We're recording a podcast right now.
Yeah, it doesn't come out for a couple of weeks.
And I got to play that out loud before I say it.
Like a boombox, just walking around.
I can say it.
I was genuinely a victim of like real deal racism growing up. Not only that, in my own house. I mean, I grew up in an Italian-Irish household. I remember at Thanksgiving dinner one time, my grandmother, literally in the middle of everybody ever was saying anything, we were talking about how the kids in the neighborhood were picking on me, and she was like, "Oh, well, it's not his fault that he's a nigger. This is my grandmother at Thanksgiving dinner."
Good Lord.
So I don't know why am I not allowed to say it, but fucking Jermaine Fowler, who probably has lived the charm life, this motherfucker who probably has a loving family and has never really been called a nigger in his life, is allowed to go say it.
Well, it's because you were called that, but not everybody knows it. Not everybody knows the history.
They do now.
Well, I guess they do now.
You just said for a moment, this was a fun moment. You can replay it back at home. Butt fucking Jermaine Fowler. That was a sentence that just happened.
Soundbite. Keep it.
Butt fucking
Here's
Jermaine
my
Fowler.
Thing. When you think about the N-word, it really just come down to color. It's not really a black or white, because I see Spanish kids saying it all the time. I see like Puerto Rican kids saying it. Mexicans
Asian guys.
Asian guys will say it. Well,
they don't really get away with it. Indians
they don't get
and
away
Asians,
with it.
they'll say it with each other. They won't say it around black or Hispanic kids. Look, it's poor minorities. If you're a poor minority,
I think there's Indian people saying it.
Indians are saying
they shouldn't be, really. You know, unless
What
unless
is
they
all
were called
this
it.
rules? God,
Look, I don't give a fuck about any rules. I'm just telling you typically what the status quo is going to be is people are going to tell you Indian kids and fucking Asian kids can't say it, but Latinos and blacks can. And honestly, a lot of blacks will get mad at Latinos for saying it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I always wonder about that. It seems crazy that you just hear Latino saying it harshly all the time, loudly. It's strange to me because like you hear so much about this word. So it's weird when you're just at like a bar and they have like a rap song on and the N-word is being yelled out over an amplification system. You're like, how is this not? It's very bizarre.
It's just
to me.
fucking
It is
white people
bizarre.
being afraid. I mean, you know, just stop being such pussies.
It's not. Well, there's reason to be because people get offended and then you lose your job and you have to apologize. It's a whole thing. It's a very strange word.
Yeah,
I'm
you
over
can
the
get-
whole thing. I wish
you
it
can
would
get
just.
sued for saying it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
insane.
it's crazy. You have to like publicly apologize. I've had like 3 different jokes where I say quoting another thing. I have a joke right now where I say nigga. I'm quoting another person. No one
Right.
ever gets upset. White people get tense, and then black people laugh. And
Yeah.
Right. Well, it
Like
sucks. You can't even use it. Like one of my favorite bits is niggers versus black people, the Chris Rock bit.
Yeah.
And so people ask me that, I'm like, oh, jeez, N words versus black people, and it's just, it's not the bit.
That's where I have a problem with, like, to me, and like Dave Chappelle talks about this in his Inside the Actors Studio, where he tells a story where someone came up to him and said, I love the sketch The Niggers, and he's like, ooh, I want to punch you, and Dave Chappelle's like one of my idols, but I'm like, well, you created a piece of art titled The Niggers, so now I can't refer to this thing by its title.
Look,
it's a
dude,
thing that you created, so if
yeah.
I'm going to reference it, what am I,
Yeah.
a child? I can't say the name of your thing
It's
that
like
you created
love, that I
for
like.
white people.
Yeah, right.
Dude, look,
right.
Lauryn
So that's
Hill's
where I
another
get
one of those
annoyed.
people. You know, she came out back in the 90s and said her music is for black people. It's not for you. And the truth is, I think Chappelle, you know, I think he has that in him a little bit. I think that
Well-
he thinks what he created is for the black community.
Well, the money came
Yeah.
from the white people.
Yeah, don't
'cause-
take the money.
I'm not justifying it. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you what's going on. Look at Rage Against the Machine. These motherfuckers, like, dude, you're spending the fucking dollars that everyone's buying your albums with. So fucking don't sell your albums. What do you want to do?
Rage Against the Machine I love because their heyday was like Clinton's 90s. When it was just like peacetime, the fucking
Right,
economy was
right.
blowing up. It was like we were all becoming together, and they're like, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" And then they break up, and then Bush takes office, and you're like, "Well, you guys really,
Yeah, you
the
missed it.
untimeliest band ever."
Right.
But to me, like you said, like a piece of art that has the N-word in there. I mean, how can I? I'm going to reference that because that's the name of the bit.
Right.
It's a great bit.
We're all comics, and I don't think any comic. Dude, I remember one time I was at Eastville at an open mic. Like Eastville open mic until I had a falling out with Marco was the only place that I could walk in and just get on stage. Like that was the place where I could walk in, say, "Hey, I want to go up next." They just put me up. It was
Nice.
like that was my
Wow. How are they still
celebrity
open?
status.
One of the worst mics in the city, by the way.
Yeah,
Not to take
terrible.
away from your thing here.
Of course,
but yeah.
that was the only place I could ever do that at. So I would do it every once in a while. I'd probably go in once or twice a week just to work out some new shit. And there was the fucking, no, dude, this wasn't even a mic. This was a bringer show that I was hosting for Marco.
Ah.
And it was, the bringers on the show. So there was one kid, who did a joke.
Some shows you have to bring audience members.
Do you have to
in order
explain
get on.
everything to everybody?
Yeah, some of them
Yeah,
they're
they
not
don't
comedians.
know. Right.
All right.
Bringer show, people don't know what the fuck that means.
So, by the way, you didn't even explain it well.
Well, because you interrupted me, you dumb dumb.
Sometimes
I started to explain
when
it and you
young
fucking yelled
comics,
at me.
when they first start out, they get booked by guys, and the idea you have to bring 5 to 10 friends in order to get stage time on the show.
There
so
we
that's
go.
The lowest.
No,
besides,
that's not enough. Then the people spend money, they get to keep the money.
What?
Being facetious.
Oh, all right.
so this one kid, this white kid, gets up on stage and he does a joke, and he's quoting his grandmother in the joke. And whatever it was, he said, "Nigga, you crazy," or something like that. Like that was the joke. There was another open micer kid who was a black kid, who's on the show, and he's there with a bunch of friends. And literally the kid said this, and the fucking black kid stood up, and it's a comic on the show, and he goes, "Oh nah, son, no you didn't." And he's riling his friends up. He's like, "You can't use that word, son. You can't use that word." And I literally grabbed him by his arm. I gave him the goon arm, and I fucking pulled him out in the hallway. I was like, "Dude, are you a fucking comic or are you a fucking bitch? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?" I was like, "You never fucking interrupt another comic, ever." He was like, "Oh, you can't be saying that word." I was like, "I don't give a fuck what word he used. I don't care if he looked at you with the fucking eyes and said it, okay? You don't fucking do that. You got a problem with
Wow.
something, you say something after the fucking show. If any comic fucking gives another comic shit for trying to be funny, for anything,
Yeah.
fuck you, dude.
Boy, I love
Fuck
that.
you.
Yeah, while
okay?
on stage, particularly.
The
Yeah.
fucking the Tosh thing, the Sam Morril thing, all this shit, dude. If you publicly come out against another comic when that comic is just trying to be funny, I don't give a fuck. It's the Kramer thing. I don't give a fuck about anything, dude. If you're a comic and you publicly go against another comic, you're not a fucking comic.
I love that. I wish you were around when I was starting out. I could have used you.
Dude, that's crazy to me, dude.
Yeah.
That is fucking nuts for you to go, dude, we all do this shit together and we're all trying to find funny shit in everything that we're trying to do. Okay?
Well, and the worst part about that is that kid just wanted attention. He wasn't mad about the word. He was just like, "You're on stage now, and I'm not. Fuck it."
Dude, that's like a very black thing in general. Even if he was really mad, he was getting himself like more hyped up and more angry,
yeah, exactly.
just for the sake of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I watch that shit happen all the fucking
Seems like
time.
a Puerto Rican thing too.
Come on, bro.
How about I might have told this story before, but I don't think on this show about when the Michael Richards things happened. I lived in Boston at the time. The Boston Globe wanted to get like sound bites or clips, words from whatever the fuck you call it, quotes from local comics, and they called me and they're like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Oh man, it was outrageous. It was crazy." And then the next day in the paper it said, "Local comedian Joe List is outraged."
Ah, it's great.
But I was just using the word outrageous, being like it was a crazy way to behave.
Right.
I was like, I'm not outraged at all. I don't give a shit. Who cares? The guy sucks at comedy.
It's like, look, I don't know, dude.
At stand-up comedy, I should say.
But you know what, dude? Look, he has a
brilliant
right to
comedian.
go and suck. Everyone has a process, and look,
Right.
dude, he happens to be a guy that was famous and an actor first, so he wants to go back and do stand-up, which I think is kind of stupid. But either way, he has a right. Who am I? I'm not the fucking comedy police. Nobody else is.
Right.
We have a right to go and suck. We all suck in the beginning. Everyone
Oh, yeah.
spends the first few years fucking sucking and experimenting and trying shit. He happens to be in a situation when he's experimenting. There's people that are going to pull out their cell phones because he's a celebrity, you know? So it's like, you know, it's kind of a unique situation. But Patrice, you know, there's nothing I can say about that situation that Patrice O'Neill didn't say on that Fox News thing. He
right.
just fucking nailed it.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know, dude. I think we have, we're comics first. You know, Chappelle has a bit about it too. Chappelle's bit is fucking hilarious. About,
that's the best.
You know, where he's like, he talks about watching the Kramer thing, and he's like,
Yeah.
there's the black guy in him, and he's like, oh man, he's like, what the hell? He gets pissed off. Like, then the comic side of him is like, ah, shit, Kramer, you can get him back. Don't worry, stay in there.
Yeah.
It's great,
He goes,
dude.
"That's
Chris
when
Rock said that, too."
Chappelle said, that's when I realized I'm 10% black and 90%
Yeah.
comedian.
Right.
Because at first I was like, man, this is an outrage. And he's like, after a while, I was like, this nigga's having a bad set.
Great, dude.
Chris Rock, they said, "How do you feel about this?" And he goes, "Can't a guy just have a bad day?"
Yeah, dude, that's
was
it.
awesome.
It's dude. I mean, we've all said ridiculous shit. We're just not famous yet, dude. If I was famous and you caught some of the shit that I've said on stage to audience members, it would be a fucking thing. You know?
I will say that a lot of comedians, like newer comedians, are influenced by this Stanhope thing, and they want to say the N-word on stage, and they're doing it in a way where you're like, well, you're not good enough. There's not enough joke here. Like, white guys are just saying it to say it.
For the shock.
Yeah, and it's not good. And that is offensive to me as a comedian where you're like, well, you're not, you're not doing it.
It's
right.
just-
you can't just say it and be like shocking and good
No,
at comedy.
no.
I don't do anything about there not being God. I'm an atheist. It's like, am I going to be the dude that's going to, until I think of something fucking ridiculously funny about it. If it just comes to me and I write something amazing, I'll do it. I'm not going to shy away from anything. Same thing with the N-word. I haven't thought of anything that is like, I'm not going to go, I need to write a joke about how I can say nigger. You know?
No, you shouldn't do that.
You know, my dad was stabbed to death. I wrote a joke probably a year and a half ago about him getting stabbed to death because it came to me and something happened and it clicked and I said, this is fucking funny. But I remember when I was a young comic, I tried to talk about both my parents being dead. And when I think back, I go, it was only because I knew that would be something that's like, ooh, that's dark. That's like, you know,
right.
he's talking about his parents being dead.
Yeah.
That's not the norm. But it's like, you have to organically come up with the funny. And if you're organically coming up with, you know, I think this water bottle's funny for X, Y, and Z reasons, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? Like Nate Bargatze's mind doesn't think like, oh shit, my parents are dead or a girl accused me of rape or whatever it is. Let me go figure out how to turn that into something funny. His mind doesn't work that way. He thinks of, he's seeing things in a different set of eyes. And I think a lot of young comics, and I'm a young comic too. I'm not saying I'm like an experienced fucking pro or anything, but a lot of young comics, I think they go for the content or the shock first, and then they try to write the jokes around it.
Right.
Well, let me propose this and tell me how you feel about this, you two. The N-word thing. Let's say the niggers versus black people. Great bit. We can all agree on that.
I think it's the best bit.
One of the best jokes of all time.
Great.
What if I had written that? It wouldn't have worked.
No, you'd have to give it to somebody else.
Isn't that a bitch? Doesn't that suck? Like, if I had written that joke, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, but there's like
yeah, but I mean that's
It's the same exact point.
But you understand it. I mean, you can't just be going on stage going, "How about these niggers?" I mean, that's insane.
I know, but the idea is still the same.
Yeah, no.
The premise is still there.
No.
You know, it's still a good joke, but from me, it's not.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the thing of that is, so the basis is, well, black people have more they can talk about
That's
because
what
they're black,
it is. Right.
but they fucking paid a massive price for that.
Oh, big price.
So, I mean, Chris Rock
$159.99, Nuka.
right, like,
know what that was.
Chris Rock wasn't a slave, and you and I weren't slave owners, but there's still that exists in the not too distant past.
Right.
So, Chris Rock gets to have that bit, and we get to not be harassed by the police.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's even beyond that. It's kind of like, we all have variables that affect us, and that just doesn't affect you the same way. So I get why people wouldn't laugh at, like, I don't know, you can't, like, I said my dad's dead. Like, I can't make fun of somebody else's dad being dead in the crowd.
Right. That's
It's my
what it is.
struggle.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it really isn't your struggle to, it is a point that's being made, but it's like, it's his world.
Yes.
So he can speak about his world
Right.
with some sense of, like, if you did it, it would almost be like, oh, he's doing it just for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Even though it's a brilliant joke, it's such the art form of comedy is this sensitive, crazy thing where
so
everything
crazy.
matters. I mean,
Everything matters.
The lighting, if the lighting is off in the room and there's maybe a fucking bulb that's flickering in the corner of the room, that will ruin the whole fucking show. Because
Right.
people they're going to be on that light bulb and how they're like, hey, what's going on with that? And they're not in that moment with you.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's just the variables that affect you. I have a joke. I premise it with black people are the worst. That's the premise. Just black people are the worst. And people don't always get on board with it right away. And then I have a good bit because it's too honest. But I have a bit, and it's a funny thing, but it's like I think I get a little bit more flexibility because I'm Latino.
Oh, definitely.
And by the way, I'm more racist than both of you put together.
Probably.
But I take advantage of that opportunity.
That sounds like a challenge. But that's the thing about everybody's like, you can't generalize. You can't generalize. You can't talk about all blacks do this and all whites do that. But isn't slavery just a big generalization? White guilt is just a big generalization. That's all it is. Like going like, hey, you can't say that because black people might get offended. Well, that's a generalization. Saying they'll all get offended. What's the difference between that generalization and then saying all black people steal?
Well, for the most part now, white people are the ones that get offended.
Wow, that's true.
It's the white people are offended for black people, which is also a conversation that's been had so many places. But most race stuff, black people are loving it because they appreciate a white person fucking talking honest.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the white people are the ones going,
And what happens is
if you do race jokes when there's no black people in the audience,
you're
it
fucked.
always bombs.
Yeah.
You're
100% of the time.
You're 100% right about that. And the truth is, black people can smell fear. Literally, they can smell fear. No, if you're nervous, if you're doing a race joke and the white people kind of go like, oh,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like ooh, do one of those. The black people in the audience will smell that fear, and then they'll start working themselves up about like why they're pissed off about it. But they're not even really pissed. They might have been the
Right.
person to laugh up front about it.
But they're like, we should be pissed. We're supposed to be pissed.
I remember when I was maybe the second or third show that I had ever done. Maybe 3 times I've been on stage. Kurt Metzger, who is a very funny comedian. He's about 6'4". He's got big bug eyes. He's white. He performs at the Comedy Cellar a lot. Just want to make sure Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
the way I explain it.
Yeah. Just make sure that Joe is considerate of his audience. Yeah.
So
Good zing.
Metzger, I knew Metzger. Metzger was one of the first people that I met in comedy before I'd ever done comedy. When I started in comedy, I was selling comedy club tickets for a company called New Genesis, and me and Metzger started the same day selling comedy club tickets. So we're on the same corner. So he had told me he was a comic from Philly. He'd been doing it for 2 years. I just this fucking
Wow.
fucking kid who's excited to be in New York City, 19 years old.
Wow.
And then he quit.
Can't imagine him young.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. And he just did it he like smoked cigarettes on the corner for the whole day, and we just shot the shit. And then he quit, and I didn't hear anything from Metzger for like a year and a half. And a year and a half later, I'd started producing comedy. I wasn't even doing comedy yet. I started producing comedy shows first because I was promoting so much, and I was like, well, I want to produce a show because I produced shows when I was younger in bands. I would always put on like live shows for my band. Right. So I was like, oh, let me start producing comedy shows. And then a year after that, I started doing comedy. So I went in opposite. I sold tickets, produced comedy, then started doing comedy. So Metzger randomly hit me up after I started producing comedy. He was like, oh, dude, we work together. But like the third time ever, that I was that I had done comedy. He brought me to a room in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name of the room. It was like a woman's name, so you know it's really ghetto.
Yeah.
Like just like Sweet Rosie's or something.
Uh-huh.
And it was a fucking, like, you know, Metzger started off in the Philly comedy scene, Black Circuit, all urban rooms in Philly, him and Big J. So he was used to doing this. So he'd come out and he was just used to being fucking, you know, psychopath. And Kurt was always a lunatic. So he brings me out. And I went up, dude, and I was just like pretending to not be nervous, but I was so terrified. I was fucking terrified.
Yeah.
And I had done pretty well up to that point. I had gone on stage like 3 times, and I had done really well. I was always good at kind of getting the crowd to be on my side and laugh through energy. I had horseshit jokes, but I go up there, dude, and I started my first joke. I forget what it was. There was a black chick in the front row. She just smelled my fear. And I wasn't even halfway done with the joke. She's like, boo!
Yeah.
Boo, nigga. Boo!
Oh man.
Just like that, dude.
Woo.
And I nervous. I was like, that's why your earrings are so big. Oof. Just like, oh.
Well, at least you didn't say lips. That would have been way worse.
Dude, then another person, boo, boo. Dude, I mean, literally like 3 minutes, I just got booed off stage.
Wow.
And that's what Metzger told me. He's like, you don't understand, bro. He's like, you gotta, like, they will smell the fear. You can't come up there with that fake confidence.
Yeah.
If you're nervous, say it. They're gonna respect it more that you're gonna come out and go, hey, I'm really nervous. I've never performed in front of 50 black people before. Please don't fucking murder me.
Now,
Right.
I think that's true of most audiences. They may just not boo out loud. But I think most audiences sense any amount of fear
I can
in a
see
comedian.
that. Yeah.
They're like, this guy doesn't look...
But
And
you
they're
know what,
doubting
dude?
everything.
With
they just
the-
might not scream out
the
boo.
quote unquote alt crowd where it's a lot of people's friends coming out, they want you to do well. If somebody's in Times Square,
I'm talking clubs. Yeah.
buying comedy club tickets and they go to a club, you know, this is their night on vacation. They want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So they're going to give you that chance to go and be funny. And even if you're a little nervous, they're going to try to laugh and they're going to try to have a good time. Where I think with poor people, I'm not going to say black people because Latinos, white, whatever, with poor people, I think they go like, motherfucker, I'm spending my money here. Make me laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't pay
right,
for a
right.
nervous asshole.
Right.
I paid for a professional, you
Yeah.
know, and it's just a difference, you know, just a different mentality. I'm not
Oh,
saying
it's
one's
different.
right, one is wrong, but, yeah, man, that was fucking.
I used to do me and Mike Lawrence for kicks. We'd go up to Smokies on 125th. You ever done Smokies at Mocha Lounge?
Yes, I did.
Woo, that is a terrifying room. It's like a mini Apollo. It's this guy Smokey, hilarious, like a diamond in the rough. You go up there, you're like, this guy's amazing. He should be a professional, famous guy, but he's just a weirdo who smokes weed all night. And he's got this room. It's like a famous room. Everybody goes. It's packed every Monday. Me and Lawrence take the train up. We hear about it. We go up there. I go up. I'm terrified. I eat my ass for like 4 minutes. They don't even applaud when you walk up. You know, right away they hate you. Like you walk up and they're not applauding. So I go up and I'm just like, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. Hey, white guy here. Okay, I'm trying to play up the white thing. They hate that immediately. I go to my act. They hate my act. And everybody's just like bored and booing. And I see the lady at the DJ booth doing the neck thing, like, get this motherfucker off. He sucks. And Smokey's like, no, let him go. And so they let me sweat it out for like
Yes.
8 minutes. And I'm dying. And then I get off. Smokey gets up and he goes, damn, that guy was shitty. Holy shit, he was not funny at all. Wow, he sucked. The place is dying. He's like, he should quit comedy and then kill himself. Woo-wee, damn. And like I left my notes on the stool. He took my notes, he threw them on the ground and started stepping on them. Really? Stepping on my notes.
Yes.
And I'm just like, my heart's breaking. I'm in the
But
corner.
that-
I'm
let me tell
standing
you,
next to other
I
comics.
love that.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
It's great. You know what, dude? Fuck it.
A
Like,
little
look,
inconsiderate, but yes.
look, it's a dick move.
Killing.
It's a dick move to throw you under the bus. But look, fuck it, dude. Like, I don't know. He's not playing really the same game that we are.
Yeah, totally. That was
know?
like no gloves, just bare knuckle boxing.
I had my buddy throw me under the bus like that. Not even in a urban. My buddy Ira Proctor, who I've talked about
yeah.
before. We did a golf gig together, and he brings me to open for him,
And those are the roughest crowds.
they're very rough. They're terrible. So I just bomb. It's just a bunch of guys that just finished golfing, and they hate everything. They don't even understand why this comedy. They all think they're funny. I just bomb for like 15 minutes, like zero. And then Ira comes up and just goes, yeah, I don't know what that fucking was. That was, I don't know who that guy was. Where'd you find that guy? And like, he brought me. But he's like, yeah, sorry, I had to do that just to get them. I did so bad that he had to sever ties with me just to get them on
Wow.
my side.
Dude, I had a weird thing with Tom McCaffrey. Dude, it was like 3 weird things in a row. I don't even know why. Just God didn't want me and Tom McCaffrey to be friends, dude.
Uh-oh.
This one I used to book shows, and I was doing shows at, I guess, Laugh Lounge, and I ended up getting like this college thing. I was trying to starting to book colleges, and I would never book myself on this. When I first started comedy, I didn't even want to be a comic. Or I did, but I wouldn't admit it. I was like, oh no, I'll host my own shows. For the first 2 years I did comedy, I just hosted my own shows. But I ran between 6 and 10 shows a week, so I was getting up a lot. And I started booking these college things. And I remember it was 2 weeks in a row, dude. The college thing was first. McCaffrey and Big J. We went to this college. It was probably in Staten Island somewhere. And McCaffrey was just fucking eating it. I mean, like, really having a rough one.
He's
And McCaffrey
so funny.
is fucking brilliant, man. At the time, McCaffrey, in my opinion, at that time, I used to say is my favorite joke writer in the world.
I'm
mean,
up there. I love him.
Unbelievably funny. I've seen McCaffrey, like, just hung out with him once, like, maybe a year ago, but I haven't seen him on stage in a long time. But at the time, I mean, like, literally, he was, like, up here with joke writing. I was like, there's nobody better, man.
I
Really,
agree.
all that fucking shit about the Michael Jackson shit and the fucking, the chopping your dick off stuff, all that stuff. It's really funny stuff.
Great random allusions to jokes. People check him out.
Yeah, he's great.
Right.
So he goes up, dude, and he's fucking just having a really rough one. In fact, it was such a weird moment. Dude. He's like going up there and just not getting anything. People are kind of like booing him. The college just being assholes. And I guess like one of the kids like snuck up behind him and started like doing a dance behind him. And everyone starts like cracking up at that dance. And he doesn't realize there's a kid behind him dancing. So he thinks he's like kind of getting him now. So you see like the confidence go back into his face.
Yeah.
And he turns around and sees that and is like, oh, all right, whatever. So I'm out like outside in the hallway or whatever. And the woman who's in charge of it comes in. And she was like, hey, you got to get this guy off. He is fucking terrible. And I was like, all right. So I go back up there, and I don't know why I used these words. I wasn't even trying to bust his balls or anything. I wasn't even trying to do what Iro or this other guy was trying to do. I was just saying I just chose the wrong words. I was like, guys, give it up for a terrible Tom McCaffrey.
Ooh.
Now it wasn't like I wasn't fucking calling him terrible. She had just said he's terrible.
Right.
And I was kind of just making fun of what she had said.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with his act. Like, literally, I was a fan of his. I booked him on, like, all my shows. I was, like, a huge fan.
But he doesn't take jokes well.
Dude, he
Tom.
his face dropped, and he just fucking walked to the stage and went like this to me.
Oh!
Middle finger right in my fucking face. And I was like, and I went out, I explained it to him. I was like, all right, whatever. Then the next week, dude, I fucking had...
Tom, call in if you're listening.
Dude, I had a fucking like gum thing that
Gum thing?
It's like a pack of gum. It looked like gum.
Oh, a pack of gum.
Yeah, it looked. Like, I'm losing control of my
A
words.
gum thing.
You mean like the fake novelty gum?
Yeah, but it shocks
right.
your finger. It's
Yes.
a real hard, a real hard electric volt. Like one of the ones that are like kind of dangerous. They don't even sell them legally anymore. This was a really rough one, dude.
Where'd you get that?
Just some fucking joke shop somewhere.
Puerto Rico?
So
Jesus Christ.
it's a fucking, I come up to him like, hey, dude, here, you want some gum? And it's a week later.
Yeah,
Takes-
I do the same shit because you try to get him to be friends with you and you keep burying yourself. I've got a million of those
Dude, it
stories.
shocked him. He went, oh, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, dude, I thought you were paying me. You electrocuted me. What's your problem? Then he walked out. I didn't talk to him for like 2 months after that.
And you're just really like, please like me.
Yeah, dude, all I wanted
Yeah.
was Tom McCaffrey to be my friend.
I was the same way. Funny. This is my Tom impression. Anybody here married? Okay, if you're married, stare at me blankly. That's it. I love that gag.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. Didn't go over in here, but it's not bad. But yeah, I'm
So,
sure
I
I'll talk
can't-
to him. He's a good buddy of mine.
No, yeah, tell him. No, it's fine. We've made our peace with it.
I made the mistake when I first met him. I'm a huge fan. I used to watch him in New Orleans. Like growing up, I watched him on TV. And I moved here and I saw him at a show. And he's just like a quiet, keep to himself kind of guy. And I went
wigger.
up to him.
You can
Yeah,
say it.
kind of a wigger. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, man, how you dealing with that hair loss? Because I was trying to be like, I know your pain, like, how is that? What's it like? And he was like, what? I'm not losing my hair. And I was like, well, come on. And then I didn't talk to him for like a year.
That's funny.
But yeah, great guy. Grew up in Manhattan. Friends with Adrian Brody. Went to the same high school as Marlon Wayans, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we got to wrap this up. I
we
want to
go.
say a funny Lewis story before we go.
Yeah, please.
Lewis J. So one time, I was pretty new to comedy, probably 3 years in. I'm at CB's. Remember that old haunt?
Oh, yeah.
Wayne's asshole of a club. And
Now, Wayne Rada is a guy who started out working under Barry Katz at the Boston Comedy Club. He kind of worked his way up through the ranks. He's managed a bunch of comics, Patrice O'Neill, Big J, Virg Voss, myself at one point.
Dan
Probably
Soder.
has AIDS. Anyway, go.
Probably, yeah. Hey, you should have him on your podcast.
No, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so this club was pretty rough. It was kind of the Wild West. There was no really policing. And it was like the size of a shoebox. And I'm on stage. I'm getting heckled by this guy. And I can just see in the corner, you're fuming. You're staring at this guy heckling me. And I was like, dude, will you shut the fuck up? I'm trying to do my act, blah, blah, blah. And so I get off, and you throw him out. And he's like, I'm not going out. Do you remember this at all?
No, not at all.
He was like a nerdy-looking guy, like a short, fat guy with glasses. And you were like, you have to go. And he's like, nah, I don't want to go. I was just fucking with the guy. And you're like,
Was I on stage? I was hosting?
no, you were by the bar. Standing,
Okay.
You were just face-to-face with the guy. And,
Right.
And he's like, I don't want to go. I'm just having a good time. And you're like, well, if you don't go, I'm going to kick your ass. And he was like, come on, dude, take it easy, buddy. And you're like staring at him right in the eyes like, no, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. I'm dying to beat the fuck out of you. Let's go outside right now. I'm going to kick your fucking ass. If you don't walk out this door in 2 seconds, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And the guy just walked out the door. And we were all in awe.
Yeah. No, you know what, dude? I'm not the guy that handles hecklers. Like, I don't like, hey, let me unravel this and see where we can go. Let's have some fun with this
Right.
complete piece of shit who has zero respect for the fucking art form that I think about 24 hours a day. So I get immediately
Lewis is a child, by the way.
really angry sometimes. I get really angry at hecklers. So 90% of the time it ends up being funny because what I do is I shut them down. I say, hey, dude, shut your fucking face or I'm going to snap your phone in 2 pieces. Or I'll just
Right.
threaten them. And the audience is like, yeah, typically the audience wants to laugh. They want to be
Yeah.
there to have a good time. And nobody likes a bully. And a heckler is just a fucking bully. So you can't come at people like that immediately. But if they give you just the 1 second where they're being the asshole and they're being the bully and they're taking the attention away from the show that these people paid to say, you can say whatever the fuck you want to them. So that shit happens like a lot. I mean, at CB's in particular, they didn't have a bouncer.
Right.
And I knew the booker really, really, really well. So there wasn't, I could really do whatever
right.
the fuck I wanted there. So that was one place in particular where it's like, I could just go up and if you're being a fucking asshole, like me and Big J, Jay fucking choke slammed a dude through the table at CB's one time.
Really?
Yeah, the guy kept on, being a piece of shit the whole night. They're just hammered, just drunk. And I know we'll wrap up. This is the last story, I guess. Fucking,
Oh, I'm listening.
so the guy, like, Big J was up there, and he was the crowd at this point was just shitty, and they were done. And these guys were so drunk that you couldn't get them with your words. Like they were losing the battle, like they were idiots, and everyone was on the comic side. But it just became tired after like 3 or 4 comics of these guys just being these assholes and being jerks. So the lines that all the comics were saying to these guys just stopped working. It stopped being a funny situation. People are more like, all right, our night's fucking ruined. Let's just go.
Right.
So Jay was saying something to this guy, and he just wouldn't shut the fuck up. He was with like 2 friends, and at one point, Big J goes, or the guy goes, something along the lines of Big J. He's like, yeah, well, at least I'm not fat, something like that, some cheesy fucking whatever. So Big J was like, yeah, I'm not too fat to beat the shit out of you though. And he was like, the guy said, you wouldn't do it or something like that. And then Big J's like, no, I dare you to say one more fucking word, and I promise you, I'll beat the fucking shit out of you. So he gets up and he says, yeah, and stood up. It was a big dude. Jay fucking dropped the mic, ran down from the stage, grabbed the guy by his throat, put him through the fucking table.
Jesus.
The guys start grabbing Jay. I fucking just start mushing people. Do you know what a mush is?
No.
You put your hand on somebody's face and you push. So I start just mushing his friends. Like, yeah, do something, motherfucker. So they like went outside, and then I like fucking I followed them outside. I ran upside, and I started I was with 3 of them, and it's me, and everyone else is still inside because they tried to hold me back, and I broke through Gay Wayne, and I fucking ran upstairs, and I just started fucking mushing them outside as they're walking away from me. I'm just pushing their faces, all 3 of them. And then the cops came, they rolled up, and I was walking the opposite direction. And then the guys were so drunk, they started like pushing each other and arguing with each other. And the cops came and they fucking like literally had to break up their weird thing while we all just like laughed at them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Comedy, huh? Showbiz.
Yeah.
Good times.
Goes to show you never know where it's going to go.
There you go.
Right? You're snapping the cell phone thing in half. Remind me of the first time I ever worked with Nick DiPaolo.
Oh, I love this story.
I think I heard this story. This is a famous story, right?
Some guy answered his phone in the front row, and Nick goes, let me see your phone, and took it and dropped it into his Captain and Coke. It was like a pint glass, and it just floated to the bottom, and Nick just did the whole show with the guy's phone in the bottom of his drink.
Wow.
That's great,
That was
dude.
amazing.
Did he buy him a new phone?
The guy came in the next night with a bill of like $300. He bought like the super phone, and Nick gave him $100. He's like, "I'm not buying you a new phone. Here's $100."
Right.
I gave him $100. It's
great.
It was worth $100.
There you go.
All right. Well, we have to wrap up.
Yeah, this is a great episode. Thanks, Lou.
Watch how bad we are at wrapping up.
Yeah, if you thought the starting was bad, eek, wait till you see this.
That's how you
Louis
got
J.
herpes.
Gomez and Louis J. Gomez. Follow Louis on Twitter, right?
Yep,
I
at
think?
Louis J. Gomez. You can check out any of my multitude of other podcasts. I'm kind of a podcast guy.
Yeah, multitude of other.
If you're an MMA fan, go to hammerfisting.com, Hammerfisting the Broadcast Network.
Yeah.
Or you can check out my other podcast with Big J and Dave Smith called Legion of Skanks.
And check out everyone we talked about. Tom McCaffrey, Nate Bargatze, Big J. Okerson,
Dan
Nick
Soder.
DiPaolo, Dan Soder.
There you go.
All great. Smokey.
Smokey.
Mark
I don't
Normand.
know. All these great comics. Mark Norman, at Mark Norm.
Yeah, that's me. At MarkNormanComedy.com and at Joe List.
At Joe List Comedy.
That's the one.
At Joe List is a British artist who I met the other day at a
Oh,
show.
that's right.
He came to Hot Soup. your
Yeah,
show.
yeah. How do you like that?
Yeah, I got to meet two Joe Lists, two artists Joe Lists. And if you enjoy the show, spread the word around at Tuesday Stories on Twitter.
Yeah, follow
Follow
us
us.
and tweet some nice things.
Yeah. And so keep listening. We appreciate it. And we love you and all that stuff.
And we'll
Take care of each other.
We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye.